Guys, today I wanted to talk to you about data binders and collecting student data within your classroom and how to organize it. So last year I got really intrigued with the idea of having my students collect their own data, being able to talk about their learning, and then also holding their own student-led conferences with their parents. So I started doing some research and I came across the Leader in Me organization. And it's this idea of taking a total school transformation and really giving children the empowerment of their own learning and giving them those 21st century life skills that they need. I really like the idea. However, my school's not going through the process of to become a Leader in Me school. So I decided that I would go about doing the research to really get the idea of what it means to be that Leader in Me and really the idea of how do I get my kids to become empowered by their own learning. So I did research, I went on Pinterest, and I even purchased the book Leaders of Their Own Learning, which is the idea of collecting student data binders and student-led conferences. So today I wanted to show you my student data binders. On Friday, I have parent conferences, so I had to be sure that all of my data binders were current, up to date, and all the information was inside of them. So I figured, why not? I have them ready. They're all good to go. I'm going to pull one out and I will show you what they look like. As I'm going through my data binder, I'll talk to you about the transformation that it's undergone, because in the very beginning, when I first started getting all this information, I made these really cute little charts and they were so precious, and I had the goal setting charts. And I had it all in there, and the first time that I went to go and use my actual data binder, it was the biggest flop ever. It was hard to understand, it was hard to record the data, and it was difficult for my students to really kind of get the idea of what their learning looked like. Because for younger kids, especially in kindergarten, you want to make it as visual as possible. So I'll talk to you about some of those transformations that I went through as I'm going along my binder. So if you're curious about data binders and how you can use them within your classroom, keep watching. I'm going to show you what mine look like. Okay guys, so here is my data binder. I really quickly just went through, made a cover for each of my kids. I didn't even type their names in, I ended up just writing them in. And then I also put their number up there at the corner. This is the way that they recognize all of their materials. So their data binders, their homework folders, anything and everything has their number up top. And this is where they go and get it. I even wrote the number on the side for them so that they can easily find it when it's filed up on my bookshelf. Okay, so let's go through and look at the very first tab, which is letter ID. So over here, I simply added my letters along one side. Now, the thing that I did not do this when I first started was I simply had it A, B, C, D all the way up to Z. That was wrong for me. And I realized that that was making it way more difficult to log the information or keeping track of their data. So what I did was I went back and I took the letters that we are learning and put them within the order that we are learning them. So for the first 9 weeks, we learn M, S, R, and T. And I just kept going until the end of the school year. So that way I know that M, S, R, T are the first ones that need to be completed for the first 9 weeks. So she has to be able to know those, and we can keep increasing it from there. This child in August was able to complete all of those. So she knew all of her uppercase letters, names. So that means I don't have to assess her here. Now there are certain occasions with certain students that I will, even though they show that they have this, I will go back and reassess them, because sometimes with certain children, they will go backwards. Like 1 month they'll know that letter and then the next month they don't. This student, however, already has it. I know she has it. I feel confident that she has it. So I leave it and I don't have to reassess her. Same thing here. You'll notice that here she had 2 months. So in August, she got L incorrect for her lowercase letter naming. And back in September, she corrected that. So now she knows all of her lowercase letter names. For letter sounds, here's what hers looks like. So again, you'll see, I don't know if you see this here, but I kind of marked off with her about where it is that she needs to be for certain 9 weeks. Because we were discussing here about how she needed to be here for this first 9 weeks, and then this was her second 9 weeks. I went through and we charted her progress. Now, something else that you'll notice is in the very beginning, I actually had her color in where she was and the ones that she got correct. I don't do that anymore because it takes way too much time. It takes up way too much instruction time. So now I color it in for them. And then I have them tell me what it is, the meaning of what it is that I just did. So they have to be able to say, well, you colored in all 26 letters. That means that I know all of my uppercase letter sounds because all of those are colored in. So they have to be able to tell me about their learning, even though I'm the one that's doing all the coloring. Same situation here. Didn't know as many when she first came to me in August. September we grew. October we skyrocketed, and in November we completely got them all. And this is for lowercase letter sounds. And it says, I can say my lowercase letter sounds. Then we have sight words. Now the sight words were really hard to get all onto one page, but somehow I managed to do it. So for kindergarten, we have all of these, and again, I went back through and put them as far as our progression for our sight words. And here you're going to see how her growth is getting better and better. Now in December, we did not chart her progress for her sight words. I did not meet with that student at that time, and that is okay because I felt really good about how much she knew already. So now she is to this point where she has 2 more that she needs in order for her to be able to complete the entire kindergarten sight word list. So then at this point, I'm going to move her into the first grade sight words. After she reaches this and has completed this goal, she can start learning some of those first grade sight words. And I do require that my students be able to spell and read the sight words. Here is color words. So I took all her color words. She was able to read them all at the beginning of August. Now we go on to reading level. So you'll see for this student in October, I had her on an A. November, we moved her to a B. December, a C. And now in January, she has been moved up to a level D. We don't try to take any of our kids past an F only because we want to make sure that we're giving them a really good foundation of comprehension and those higher level thinking skills and being able to explain their thinking as they're reading. So for writing, I don't really have any type of checklist. Now, in the beginning, I did want to do some sort of checklist where it just said, like a happy face, a semi-happy face, and, a sad face, something to that extent. But it just was way too much for my first year, and I really wanted to make sure I got a really good foundation and understanding of how everything else was going to work out in my binder, so I didn't do it. However, we do collect writing samples. So we put in writing samples for each 9 weeks, and you'll kind of see where she was at the very beginning of the year, and as far as where she is now. So you can see her progress as she goes. Which when you look at it, she has skyrocketed in writing, which is very impressive. So for math, some of the basic skills that we wanted to look at was counting to 100. September, she was able to master that. In August, she was going up to 59, and then she skipped up to, I think, 70 at that point. So now she's mastered it. I don't have to reassess her unless I feel the need that I need to reassess her to double check. I do identifying letters, so she was able to identify all these letters. And I actually have sheets that I keep next to my table so that when I'm assessing my students, I pull these out. And the numbers are all random on this table that I have on a paper. And they have to just go through and be able to read those to me. Same with reading number words. She was able to master all that in the very first week, the month that she came to me. And here, make sure you can see that. And here we're practicing with writing numbers and our names. So here you can see how she was writing, and then we're progressively getting better. I still see some of those number reversals, so that's going to be something that I want to hit hard with her within these next couple of weeks, so that when we do this again, hopefully I'll see a decrease in those number reversals. We've also have shapes that I do. She mastered all of them in September, so I don't have to worry about them anymore at this point. And then I also keep a social skills tab. At the very first 2 weeks of school, we send home one of these. And it just goes through and it talks about some of the different behaviors that we expect of them. And we check off the ones that they need progress, they need to complete, so goals that they need to work on for the next week, and we have them sign it. So I keep their first 2 here, and then after that I pull out my behavior log. Now I don't know where exactly I got the actual calendar from, but I made a table down here at the bottom that has our behavior codes for our school specifically. So our school focuses on the 6 behavior soft skills are what we call them. And this is what I go off of when I am marking their behavior. So you'll see here that I usually just try to write down any kind of special days in black at the bottom, very small, any of those work days, and then they get a smiley face for good behavior. If they do something that isn't showing good behavior, I have to keep telling them something, I will mark it there for them. Parents have to sign this every night. When they get a star, that means they get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. After their 5th happy face, they get a star and they get to go to the treasure box or go to get a coupon. So I keep all of the ones here so that we can go through and look at how her behavior has progressed throughout the year and seeing if we can find any type of patterns whatsoever if there was an issue with behavior. So that is my data binder. Okay, so that was a quick view of my data binder. I really hope that you enjoyed it and got a great idea of how I'm using data binders within my classroom and the process in which I go through my data binders within a day-to-day basis. If you have any questions about how I implement data binders in my classroom, leave them down in the comments below and I will be sure to try to answer them all. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure you give it a thumbs up. And thank you so much for watching. Bye! Somebody Loves You, Mr. Hatch. And it is written by Eileen Spinelli. I hope I'm saying that right. So it's written by Eileen.